A potential type of invitation or question could be, well, what are you going to have to feel if you fail? Instead of just how can I succeed, what are you going to feel if nothing works out? And if somebody can't tolerate those feelings, then their behavior is probably going to be pretty compulsive, and they're not going to have a wide range of spontaneous, creative engagement.
I sent my traditional email that I send to the people, my aspirational podcast guests, and one of the asks is, will you come on and tell me about a moment that changed how you live and lead? And your response just stopped me in my track. This is word for word, listeners. I can't really find a particular moment or experience that has changed my life. It all seems so complex and unknowable. So, perhaps I would not be a good fit for your offerings. Hope you're well, Bruce. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inner Work, the Collective Growth Podcast. I'm MaryAnn Means-Dufrene, and I'm so pleased to have an author and therapist and all-around amazing human, Bruce Tift, here with us today. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me.
Oh, what a pleasure. I'm really inspired by your work and excited to get to have this conversation.
Great. It's been interesting for me just to think about the sort of the overlap or intersections in what you're doing and what might feel, personally relevant. So that's been interesting for me as well.
It's good to explore even before the conversation starts, right? And imagine all the possibilities.
Well, we're not ever going to imagine all the possibilities.
We can track. Yes. Well, and so I was introduced to you through New Ventures West, my coaching philosophy and program that I participated in. And you wrote the book, I have it right here, Already Free, which this is the 10th year, right? This is the 10th anniversary.
It's amazing. Yeah, really. Yeah.
Wow, Already Free. And this book, I'm doing the podcast from home today, and I walked past my husband's office down the hall, and I said, I'm about to talk to this guy, honey, the one that is changing our marriage. And and I know that
he got off his little doll with the pins.
Exactly. But the conversation on intimacy, and I told you we were going to go all over the place, Bruce, and here I am jumping right into it. The conversation on intimacy, and we approach intimacy through the lens of our childhood self, and I'm bastardizing your words here, but intimacy for me was not a positive experience. I had that perspective that you brought up. If intimacy was about the other person's needs and not your own needs, then it's not something you necessarily want.
And as humans, maybe we feel a need for it.
Yeah.
So then all of us enter our adult relationships with a type of dilemma where we feel this sort of need, but we feel like we're going to get hurt in some way or another. And then we end up trying to juggle these contradictory sort of realities. It's very complicated. Yeah.
It is. And so many layers. And it's been a couple of months since I initially read this. I feel like I want to keep going back to different elements because it's the peeling back. But I remember the emotionality I had first reading that chapter about we want to be close because we feel that to be in a healthy marriage, we have to be close.
Well, I would say we're always close and we're always separate, but for a lot of very complicated reasons.
Yeah.
One of which you just mentioned is that most of us have a history, not completely, it's complex, but most of us have a history that our most intimate, vulnerable relationships have also been the relationships where we have genuinely experienced love, but we've genuinely experienced hurt and maybe abuse and abandonment and shame and all these horrible things. Mm-hmm. So what I find is that, again, there's a lot of other factors, but that most of us don't really trust our to be simplistic, trust our capacity to keep our integrity and our emotional separateness, personal responsibility as we enter adult relationships, because nobody has the training to do that as a child.
Right.
You can only be in emotional fusion with your parents. You don't get to be trained to be an adult when you're 7. And so I think most of us in relationship have unconscious agreements to ritualize the relationship to make sure there's adequate separateness, because we're not willing to just say, I'm a separate person. Sorry, my partner's suffering. It's not my responsibility right now. That's horrible, And so most couples agree to have chronic conflict or miscommunication, loss of sexuality, underfunctioning, overfunctioning, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All of which generate a type of temporary separateness. But that's what couples believe is the issue, that they're feeling separate. That we don't understand we're agreeing to pretend not to be connected, because connection just takes us back unconsciously into young emotional fusion.
Wow.
Which is very dangerous, until we learn to use it,
That's right.
work with it. So almost all couples that I've worked with over many years come in believing that their issue is the lack of connection. I would say it's too much unconscious connection or emotional fusion, but that's not a view shared by most therapists.
Right.
Might be partly because I'm a guy,
Like you're just too close. Yeah.
Yes, I need more space.
Right. Right. Well, and you're bringing up and you are, do you primarily work with couples in your practice or also individuals?
About half and half, individuals and couples.
And this issue around marriage and couples is one chapter of this book. So when I think about, oh my gosh, I have 30 minutes with Bruce Tift, what do I talk about? This is just one. We could spend 3 days talking about this, and then what? And the one of the main points is that, and it's called Already Free. This idea that there is a problem, or there is a problem with us, and we solve it through developmental means of how we grow and how we define problems. This is the whole premise of my business.
Of course, it's premise of Western culture.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and your business is an expression of our culture, so of course.
That's right. So anywhere I go, I want to discover. So our process is discover, design, develop. Discover the problem, because there must be one. And I mean, there usually is. Like, maybe you could talk me out of it.
Well, there's what we would call a problem.
Yeah.
And in everyday life, that's an adequate shorthand for the complexity of our life situations.
Yeah.
So there's no problem. The problem is if we actually believe there's a problem.
Yeah. And most of us do.
And most of us do. Yeah. And unfortunately, as I think the little I touched in on looking at your website, your podcast, in our culture, we have a tendency, especially American culture, to locate the problem as outside of ourselves. And then we, of course, then try to solve it there.
Yeah.
And yes, we're just a collection of limitations, all of us. So
yeah,
there's always stuff to work on and improve. That's never going to change.
We're going. See, I find myself saying constantly, gosh, we're so human. But I like that. Yeah. Like, we're just a collection of limitations, aren't we?
Yeah, on a relative level, of course. Anything we can do, there's 10,000 things we can't do,
Yeah.
So one view is that the deeper we go in what is most foundational in our engagement with life, probably that work will be more effective because it's going to be applicable to a wider range of our life experience.
Yeah.
And what we carry with us through different, relationship, work, family, everything, the aspects that we carry with us pretty much everywhere will probably, just for pragmatic reasons, be more effective as a location of our efforts than working with a specific organizational dysfunction, which is a real issue to work with. But once it gets adequately resolved, there's just going to be something else.
Exactly. We're just going to repeat it.
Yeah. So the closer we can get to the heart of things,
Yeah.
the wider the application of the benefit of our work. That's a view.
That's right. That's right. And the part of what I'm attempting to scale collective growth around is my leadership program that it's 9 months, taking it online. And there would be some from the business realm who would say, this is really personal development or self-development, not really leadership development. And I would agree. And there's nowhere else to start.
Or you could say potentially yes and no. Yes, they're not the same, and no, they're not separate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And without having to choose either or.
Right. That's so true. Which speaks to being comfortable with these contradictory things, which is another, I feel like there are 30 premises of your book, or at least that's what I took in, because they were also profound.
Okay.
And this developmental versus fruitional view being one of those that can we hold both? And I think that's what you've shown, is that there's merit and benefit to both. Neither one is the right way.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. You have an opinion that you're sticking to.
I've accumulated all sorts of opinions over 45 years of doing this. I don't believe any of them, but I enjoy them.
Or maybe operate at times on using them.
I use them all the time as tools, but I don't try to, tighten a handle with a hammer, So you have to have a range of tools for different circumstances.
Absolutely. That's right. I want to let our listeners in on a little bit of the fun that I had in reaching out to you. And so I sent my traditional email that I send to the people, my aspirational podcast guests, people that I admire and want to visit with and share a little bit about the podcast. And one of the asks is, will you come on and tell me about a moment that changed how you live and lead? So this idea that there's something that crystallizes or shifts for us, and then everything is different after, which, I believe, and then also don't believe, same kind of thing. Yeah. And your response just stopped me in my tracks. So just so kindly expressing, this sounds like this is word for word, listeners. This sounds like a very helpful and interesting podcast. So kind of you, Bruce. But thinking about my experience, I find that what makes sense to me is that my life seems to be evolving out of mystery. I can't really find a particular moment or experience that has changed my life. It all seems so complex and unknowable. So perhaps I would not be a good fit for your offerings. Hope you're well, Bruce. It was the sweetest, kindest, most thoughtful no.
I'm more sweet now than I was 20 years ago.
I would like to have those two in comparison.
Well, you could ask my wife about the comparison.
I know. This sweet woman. And my response was something to the effect of, stop the presses. This is your response in and of itself is amazing, and questioning the drive and the forward movement and the constant what's next that I think life can shape us into, and I particularly respond to and move forward in that, and makes this conversation so very rich.
Well, good.
And at the same time, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would not have known what to do with that. I've been like, okay, he's not a fit.
Yeah. Right. Whatever.
Weird.
Weird. Right. Lucky he's not coming on.
Exactly. And the patience that you've developed, and I hear in that too so much confidence about most people, most guests. And if I were going on a podcast, I would be hurrying up and saying, what's my perspective? Okay, they want to hear. And so to prove myself, I need a perspective, and I've got to have my 3 points, and what's the takeaway? And you are learned and experienced and calm and confident enough to say, is this even the right question?
Yeah, for me, it
Yeah.
could be the right question for you, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, poor Haley, your associate, tried a couple of times to get me to fill out the questionnaire, but none of it felt relevant. So I'm afraid I didn't satisfy her.
Yeah. But she kept trying,
Yes,
you
she
know.
did.
Got to
That's
give her
good.
points for that for sure.
That's right.
That's right. It's staying after it. I know. Haley's amazing. She really
Yeah.
is. So blessed. Um, the what does feel right now really relevant for you? So this book having been 10 years ago, it's not like we would say, what do you want people to learn? Or what's new, what's fresh,
Yeah.
But what's new, what's fresh?
Well, every moment's fresh. I mean, we've never been in this present moment ever,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't even claim there's a moment.
Mm.
It's like it's this constant stream of experiencing, and any efforts to give it form can be pragmatic, can be helpful, but that's different than claiming we're ever going to be able to get a hold of this unfolding. We're never going to know where our experience arises from, what happens, where it goes, to use that language. So when we say what's fresh as a question, the implication that we don't examine usually is that we need something fresh to get some relief from the staleness and deadness of our ordinary life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's too bad.
Yeah. It's a
So
great point.
I think that it's not an uncommon experience to look for freshness, but we think it's in the content of our life, like I need to go on vacation, or I need to try a new experience, or get a divorce, or whatever my drama is.
Yeah.
But it's possible that our fantasy of deadness is arising from our identification with the formulas that we use, which usually, from a therapy point of view, were our best efforts to take the best care of ourselves possible
Yeah.
when we were young, powerless, immature, dependent little kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so, of course, our formulas are not very sophisticated, and they're basically decades out of date,
Yeah.
but they're associated with survival,
Mm-hmm.
certainly emotional, sometimes worse.
Yeah.
So we hang on to them as if our survival's at risk, and then get a little mystified why, after several decades, we feel like this heavy, dead, dissatisfaction. And we think it's about our life circumstances or who we are, and not consider, because it's not our culture,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe we're imposing that deadness as an unnecessary form of protection,
Mm-hmm.
which we did need as a child. We had to protect ourselves in unconscious ways usually.
Yeah.
But now as adults, most of us actually turn out to have the capacity to tolerate 100,000 times more intensity than we could as a little kid.
Mm.
But we're not going to discover that it's safe to be intimate with ourselves
Yeah.
unless we practice being intimate with ourselves. We're not going to solve that intellectually.
Mm.
But being intimate with ourselves, unfortunately, requires that we voluntarily take ourselves into exactly the vulnerable, difficult, disturbing feelings we've organized our life around avoiding.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
So it's not going to ever be a popular idea
Yeah.
in our culture. But that's related to the title, Already Free. You
Right.
could all say already fresh, always fresh.
Yeah.
Every second is fresh, to the extent that we dissolve our identification with the various forms of protection that we're continually generating.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that protection is not smart. It is.
Yeah.
But like an animal will tend to protect itself in an immediate situation, and then when the situation passes, it's back to being present.
Yeah.
But humans, for a lot of complex reasons, we develop not only a capacity to run away or fly away, but we develop a capacity to build a castle. And then that castle's there
Yeah.
protecting us, whether we need protection or not. And then we feel alienated from life.
Yeah.
And then we feel unsafe. And then that justifies our need to continue our protection. And, it's a circle.
That vicious cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the work you do and the people you work with, it would seem to me that a lot of it's very valuable socially and personally, and and not to be denigrated. The potential problem is when we're doing whatever we do, including meditation or exercise or whatever, when we're doing it out of compulsivity,
Yeah.
not choice.
That's
And
right.
so that's another way of talking about bringing ourselves into immediacy and discovering that there is no problem.
Yeah.
There is grief and rage and panic. We're going to die, Yeah, sorry, but there's no problem in life. There's no problem in who we are. And as we start relaxing with that possibility, which has to be experiential, not
Yeah.
theoretical, then it's possible we just sort of the need for these chronic formulas of identity and protection start to just fall away, And the more that we find that I always am present and I have no idea who I am, and I'm just winging it as I go along, and then I'm going to die,
You're doing a great job winging it.
Well, I enjoy it. So I enjoy not knowing who I am. I mean, what a drag to know who you are, But if we start having that sense of fresh, not knowing, spontaneity, immediacy, relaxation, not safety. A lot of people have this fantasy of safety. I'd say it's probably more accurate in my understanding to think of developing confidence. It's like you step into new territory in your life and you can't know you're going to feel safe because you're not safe.
Right.
Life isn't safe.
Right.
Intimacy's not safe. Parenting's not safe, But we can develop confidence that I'll work with it.
Right.
But I'm only going to work with it in the present moment.
Yeah.
The present moment's the only location of our experiencing. It's the only location in which these patterns arise, in which they're being generated, the only moment in which we can intervene in them. So it's just a practical issue that it's probably to our benefit to train ourselves into embodied immediacy, would be my jargon.
Yeah.
Unconditional kindness toward everything that arises. Doesn't mean act that way, but just kind because it's there.
Yeah.
And we may discover that increasingly we're acting out of choice, not out of compulsion, but we may find we're doing pretty much exactly what we were doing before.
Yeah.
You are drawn toward working with leadership issues. I'm drawn toward sitting on my butt looking at the ocean, So whatever we're
lovely.
doing.
Is there a seat open next to you? Oh,
So
man.
that was a lot of theory. Does that make sense? Or?
It's lovely. And my nervous system has settled so much just listening to you speak. And this idea of embodied immediacy reminds me, someone in my world recently asked the question, did it kill you? Do you ask that question ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked, if you care to step into your vulnerability, you don't have to, but you could ask yourself, what would be a fear that I am familiar with that I tend to avoid, like if you had a very oppressive, sort of rigid Christian family tradition, you might have organized
I
your
don't
life.
know anyone that had that.
That had what?
that had a rigid Christian family tradition.
If you had fundamentalist Christian stuff, it's possible that you could take care of yourself growing up at some point by saying, hey, I'm going to specialize in being in my own integrity. I'm not going to be a sheep following the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's going to control me.
Mm-hmm.
And so if somebody wanted to, they'd say, oh, I'd like to engage with my life out of immediate accuracy and choice rather than still trying to prove that I'm not controlled by my family.
Right.
But then we'd have to actually go into the feeling of, okay, I'm going to welcome feeling like a controlled person. I'm never going to have my own voice. I'll say, yep, to my husband, yep,
Yeah.
to the patriarchy,
Right.
yep, to this.
Yep.
Yep. Not as behavior, but just as
Right.
feelings to
Right.
examine what
Yes.
sort of panic is there,
Right.
and is the panic going to kill me?
Mm-hmm.
But the only way we find out that if anxiety, vulnerability, panic is going to kill us is to stay embodied with it for a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
maybe seconds at first,
Right.
and just trust our own intuitive intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it feels like a threat, but is it actually?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were working with leadership issues, a potential type of invitation or question could be, well, what are you going to have to feel if you fail? Instead of just how can I succeed,
Yeah.
what are you going to feel
Mm-hmm.
if nothing works out? You face humiliation and failure and blah, blah, blah.
Don't get your bonus.
Right. And if somebody can't tolerate those feelings, then their behavior is probably going to be pretty compulsive, and they're not going to have a wide range of spontaneous, creative engagement, because they'll have to, I've got to get to my goal. I've got to succeed. I can't fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that relevant? Or?
Oh my gosh. Yes. And hey, noticers, if you're dreaming of glowing, healthy skin, you must try Henna Azul Korean skincare. Myung Chong has been transforming skin for 27 years with facials so good, they create the Henna Azul glow. I've been going to her med spa for years, and my skin looks better than ever. Her products use medical-grade ingredients that truly nourish your skin and keep it radiant. Visit hennaazul.com to explore her amazing products and services. That's HANNAISUL.com. Now go get your glow.
Okay.
When you first use the language, did it kill you, or is it? I didn't like it, and that
Of course.
right. But I know myself well enough to know when I have that sort of reaction, there's something to be curious about.
Yeah.
And when I started unpacking it, that was something I heard in my childhood. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to. And so and I developed that. I can handle anything. I'm an overcomer. I'm bold. I'm going after it in these ways. And so I didn't want to go back to that place when I've
Right.
allowed myself to be more gentle.
Yeah.
And then another thought occurred to me that I was a Dale Carnegie trainer for several years. And one of the principles is of stress management and anxiety management is imagine the worst that could happen. And then once you do that, you can improve upon it. And I thought, it's looking at this, not in you don't have a choice, you have to do it, it's not going to kill you. That's not what we're saying.
Right.
It's a perhaps and a gentle way of stepping into what is actually already there
Yes, exactly.
that I'm avoiding. And it's
Yes,
not
yeah.
the thing that's there that's hurting me, it's my avoidance.
Yes, I would agree with that. And from a therapy type of view, you could at least consider that if a parent's always saying it's not going to kill you, it's not going to kill you, they're really underneath that saying you're a weak person. They're the ones who have to supply your strength. They don't trust you to be inherently resilient and able to handle things. They say, hey, I'm sure you'll handle it. Let us know if you'd like some support. That's different. Like that. So the child, I think, is actually getting the message that they're a weak, but it's unacceptable to feel weak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that sets up that sort of drama sometimes.
Man, that's so multi-layered, and there's so much. And of course, having kids will do this for you, but that I feel so much for my parents and feel for them over my young adulthood, blaming them so much when
Yeah, well, they
they
probably
were.
deserved it.
They probably did, but on the other hand, they were doing their best, and they're wounded
Exactly.
children, and
Well,
the
no,
end of
they weren't doing their best. They did what they did. We like to say, "I'm doing my best." They did their best as to try to calm ourselves down, but
yeah,
no,
yeah,
they could have put more energy into self awareness or being kind or
yeah,
asking you. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I think on one hand, yes, and then on another, maybe I do it because it brings me peace. But for those of us that tend to be judgmental in
yeah,
some area or another, a question that I found to be really helpful is, what if they're doing their best? And
yeah.
if we say, when you know better, you do better, then there's this
I
quandary of
don't
whose
find it.
responsibility of it.
I don't find that to be true.
You don't find, oh, I do.
Oh, okay.
Even people who,
Do you know that it would be better for you to put more money into retirement than you do?
oh, yeah, that's true. I don't do that. Yeah.
Do you know that it
I
would
know that and
probably
I don't. Yes.
do you know that it would probably be helpful sometimes to spend more time with your kid instead of at work?
Bruce, this isn't really
Theoretically,
helpful.
this is just theoretical. Your friends, your friends,
Yeah. No, you're totally right. Okay, how do I go back to what is the truth in when you know better, you do better? I think it's I would go to how we process things.
Mhm.
So when I know more and I have a deeper understanding, I'm able to respond differently. I think
By choice,
by choice.
but not
Yeah.
with
Just the knowing.
not a predetermined
Yeah.
criteria
Yeah.
about what you believe to be right or
Yeah.
best. It's possible that most accurately we could assume we're always going to have profoundly contradictory feelings about anything important.
Yeah.
I want to spend time with my kid. I have to do work.
Right.
I should put some more money into retirement. Hey, I got some bills. I want to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we understand that you mentioned this earlier, I think, if we understand we're always going to have contradictory feelings that
Yeah.
will never be resolved, and then we're going to die, then, we maybe give up our project or resolution.
Yeah.
But when we behave, it has to be sort of one or the other. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
black or white. I've
Yeah.
got $10. I spend it here. I don't have it there.
Right.
And so I think a lot of our behavioral choices tend to be sort of a juggling act
Mm.
rather than a reliable formula. Well, if I know, then I'll do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fantasy of resolution,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Get out of our disturbance. And no, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm
Mm-hmm.
never going to cover it all. I'll never do
Mm.
everything that's important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
But
saying that's accurate, but
well, I think it's a great thing to explore. And
okay.
it's a good point around just because we know better doesn't mean we'll do better. However,
Yeah.
does knowing more, exploring more, pulling back the layers increase the likelihood that we will do better?
I would say it would increase the potential, but then from my point of view, we're never really going to know what's better.
Mm.
We're going to have opinions, but
Mm-hmm.
if you think about what your values are right now and what your values were 5 years ago or 10 years ago, they're probably not all the same.
Right. Right.
So maybe there's no objective criteria.
Mm.
Maybe you're going to just be making it up as you go, giving it your best shot,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is fine. Why not?
Right. Right. And if we are with sincerity giving it our best shot, then even in not knowing, our outcome will be better, more positive than lack of commitment.
That's a nice fantasy, I would say.
Come on, Bruce.
Well, you're back to, even if we give it our best shot, we're not going to give it our best shot usually.
You've given
If
it
you're,
your best shot.
no, I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just, I'm just doing whatever I'm doing, and I'm doing a half-assed job of so many different things.
Yeah,
Just
but is your half-ass somebody else's excellent?
it can't be theirs if they're not me. That's somebody's fantasy. Oh, maybe I'll do a bad job of being my fantasy rather than a good job of being my limited, ignorant self.
Yeah. It's, it's an interesting exercise because
Yes.
how much of this is not written by an ignorant person giving half-assed effort. So where does this
Okay,
person
I'll go with
live?
that.
Yeah, right? It's like again, you would challenge me like how much of your identity is wrapped up maybe in not knowing
Well,
versus
I would hold it both. I wouldn't say not knowing is an approximation of openness. And if somebody starts to invite experiential openness in
Mhm.
their life, it turns out there's nothing to hang on to.
Yeah.
There's nothing to identify with unless you have an idea of openness, and that's not openness.
Mm.
And so it's a type of practice that deconstructs itself inherently
Yeah.
if it's being done accurately.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no guarantee that's the best way to live one's life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. There's no guarantees.
Not that I found.
What are you more sure of now than you were 10 years ago?
We're back to your podcast's theme here, okay? Let's see. What am I more sure of? Well, I'd probably say I'm more sure that I'm going to die. I have cancer that's not
Mm.
curable, and
Mm.
that has brought it out of a theory I'm going to die to something more real.
Yeah.
So that's more real.
Yeah.
Getting older, I'm not as agile or coordinated or strong as I used to be. That's sort of hard not to be more sure about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm more sure that I don't need to have any answers.
Hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm more sure that underneath my lack of being kind to people, I'm pretty much always going to find some sort of vulnerability.
Mm.
More sure about that.
Ooh,
Um,
let's come back to that one, but keep going.
um, I'm even more sure that I will feel irritated relating to my wife pretty much every day, and she irritated by me. That's more and more sure.
Yep. At least it's mutual.
Yes, right. Uh, I'm more sure that our kids, we have three daughters, I'm more sure that our kids do not relate to us as if we're the center of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and probably never will.
Yeah.
Uh, More sure that I can't count on our country being
Mm.
as mature as I thought it was, a
Mm.
number of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah. So it runs the gamut. Some
Yeah,
some of the experienced nature and some of the physical nature that most of us would say is undeniable. Now, what's truth, right? We can go all those
right.
different directions too. But you said your unkindness being related to an area of insecurity,
Vulnerability, I would say. Yeah.
vulnerability. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, anytime that I find myself feeling frustrated or resentful or critical of my wife, at this point, almost immediately, I pull back the initial claim that she's the cause of my disturbance and just somewhat organically realize, oh, there again, I'm not wanting to feel certain feelings.
Yeah.
And those feelings I don't want to feel have been with me all my life. I
Yeah.
had them before I even met her. She's the trigger, not the cause. If she's
Right.
not the cause, she won't be the solution.
Yeah.
But I'm a confused human, and I plan on blaming her till I die. But hopefully I don't
As long
take
as
it.
that's mutual too.
Well, no, I'd rather have it just one-sided. But, the point is, so what? As long as I don't behave that way, or let's say behave that way less and less and less, that seems like an acceptable direction to things. But if I think of the reality to me that my fortunate lifestyle is based on the suffering of hundreds and hundreds of millions of people around the world, that I can buy clothes cheap at Costco because somebody's getting $1 a day at the most,
Right.
somewhere else, they might even be a child.
Yeah.
Am I going to give away my fortunate privileges? No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm also a selfish person, and I feel pain about that. But I don't find that I'm going to just give away all my privilege. But I find under that just some panic about my own survival,
Sure.
which isn't reality based. It's biological evolution or something, but still, it's sort of painful to realize how selfish I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then because you're reminding me, part of my work is finding the good in things. Part of my work is language and creating motivation where there is none. And as I hear you saying that, I think, well, Bruce, you would be less powerful unless you could land on the cover of a magazine for giving all of your stuff away.
Yeah.
You stand a better chance to help people by having some means and being able to have some influence that in our country comes through having possessions.
Well, I'd say that's a rationalization, which if it works for you, okay, it wouldn't work for me
Yeah.
because, I could sell the house we have and go to India or Indonesia or Africa and help tens of thousands of people with disease eradication or setting up microeconomies or blah, blah, blah. But mostly I work with people who are privileged, and they're not the ones who are suffering like that. So I wouldn't agree with you that I'm doing more good by my current lifestyle. And as we touched on before, if someone, let's say if I were to look for the good in somebody, isn't the implication that it's not obviously there, or I wouldn't have to look for it? Or if I had to provide motivation, isn't that an implication that it's not obvious that they're motivated?
Yeah.
So why not just, what would it be like to cut to the chase and say, oh, apparently, not maybe you, but apparently I don't experience people as inherently good. Or I wouldn't have to look for their goodness.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it depends on the person. If I think they're inherently good. I will admit I'm firmly entrenched. Well, maybe it's hypocritical. I don't know. I think I dance between we have endless possibilities, and many of us are blinded by our self-concept, our concept of the world, stuck in victimhood of some sort. And this goes back to part of what I hope to do is help people shift to that place of really experiencing their lives, of seeing that maybe some of these issues we're facing are imagined.
Yeah, that
But if
sounds
we
great.
look at
Yeah.
the metrics of if there's value, and my business is based on the premise that there is value in helping an organization go from this EBITDA to this EBITDA, then the things that we do will some of them be mechanical around how we operate and how we diversify the portfolio and how we use investment capital. And the more important part to me is how we equip people to, and I think I imagine that I'm teaching something. So maybe that's putting myself on the pedestal a little bit, but I
You
think,
can stand on a pedestal without putting yourself on a pedestal.
yeah, that,
As long as we can stand on it, as long as we're willing to step off of it when
yeah,
it's appropriate.
yeah,
If we want to stay on it, then it's an identity drama.
right. That's a great way to think of it. That I think of the work that we get to do with leaders and with teams as both a conversation about philosophies and tools, philosophies or ways of thinking that may have kept us locked in, kept us frozen in behaviors that weren't helping us live the lives that we want to live and contribute the way we want to. And then tools and skills that can help us move toward the life that we want.
Yeah, you could translate that probably to the realm of therapeutic work.
Yeah.
And just fill in the blanks with slightly different jargon and views. Yeah.
And I want people to sense that they have inherent worth.
Why do you want them to sense that?
I believe that for them, and my perception is that they've somehow, the reason that they're messed up is that they were wounded in life, and now this is the product because their parents messed them up.
Yes, but what would be your objection to letting them be messed up for the rest of their life?
That they're not joyful.
That's them, but maybe they're not joyful. What's your investment of wanting them to be different than they are?
I'm blessed that most of the people who reach out for me want something different.
Yes, that's great.
And so when I'm asked to work with people who don't want the support, it's much more difficult because I'm trying to imagine something different for them.
Why would you even work with those people?
I'm getting paid to do it.
Do you need the money?
Yes.
Oh, well then.
Yeah. There you go. See, it works.
It's probably then helpful to find the motivation, which I think you have from listening to you, but to find the motivation. I'm doing this work because it's the sort of person I want to be in the world. I'm not doing this work because I'm going to get them to realize what I think would be helpful for them to realize.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the process and the contribution. And that's where this is the 7th year for Collective Growth. And we're really starting to try to sell and acquire business and grow through referral more than we ever have. And that's the stance that I try to practice, or that I do practice, is I'm stepping into what I'm called to do in the world and where I'm meant to serve, and wherever that is going to be, it's going to be. Yeah, and gently to put those pieces together.
And a Buddhist addition would probably be to do what we feel called to do, what feels in integrity, what helps our heart stay open, however we want to say it, but with absolutely no investment in the outcome.
Yeah. But how do you set a vision?
You have a vision. You make efforts.
Yeah.
It's just intelligent. You want your kid to be safe and have a good life, but you're powerless to save your son from who he is.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean abdicate. No, right. You give it your best shot, but in the larger environment, which has some grief in it, I'm doing everything I can because I love my son. It's who I want to be, and I don't have any power to control the outcome. He could turn into be a rotten person, you know.
He won't.
He won't. Yes, but that's not under your power.
Well, and life is just the most amazing teacher, because we've gone through a scenario like that with our precious son around, and all of us will, I think, with children or situations in our lives where we can't say what the outcome is going to be.
That's
And
every situation.
every situation, but we can be committed to love.
And give it our best effort to have a good outcome.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like an offering rather than saving the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, it's not necessarily, it's not passive.
No.
It's not aggressive or assertive. Right? It's,
Well, maybe assertive could be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Supportive.
I have these values. I'm going to try to have this outcome, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm in control.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to pretend that I know it'll have the outcome that I'm
Sorry.
putting all this energy into.
Yeah.
That potentially helps us pay more attention to the quality of our immediate experiencing and immediate engagement, where some people, let's say, especially in the world of business, are so unconsciously identified with the outcome that they can actually treat people very badly, almost like objects, because they're not in the present.
Yeah.
They don't realize that they're only living in the present ever. And that's where they'll cultivate an experience of having a satisfying life.
That's
is in
right.
the present. You can't have a satisfying life from the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just doesn't work that way.
So true. And when I sense myself in frustration, which I was earlier today, there's a pressure, there's very much a somatic thing happening that when I peel back the layers, it speaks to the vulnerability. It speaks to what I wish were true that may not be true, or what I wish I had control over that I don't.
Yeah.
And
I find
solving these things, it ain't gonna happen. But sitting in it and listening to Bruce talk calms my nervous system and helps me remember. And each year I do an exercise at the end of the year, kind of recapping the year, preparing. And my words for this year I have at the top of my calendar every morning: ease, curiosity, open hands. And I prepared that at the start of the year, feeling I was really growing in those areas and wanted to continue that path. And every time I'm confronted with something, which is every day, of course, I'm fighting in one of those areas. I'm making it harder than it needs to be, or approaching it with muscle. I've decided what I already think rather than approaching with curiosity, or I'm judging rather than noticing. I am holding on tight instead of this posture.
Yeah, well, that's all very human. And who doesn't want their preferences to be reality? We're not going to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But my experience is that in my daily life, anytime I find emotional reactivity coming up about anything, whether it's the weather or politics, that those are real situations to work with. But my emotional reactivity pretty much always is wanting reality to be other than it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or we could say fundamental aggression toward reality.
Yeah.
And so then I can say, well, what am I trying to escape from experiencing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And is it going to kill me?
Right.
Just to feel
Right.
grief or powerlessness or vulnerability, or our society isn't unfolding at the moment the way I prefer, or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think we all tend to generate so much unnecessary suffering by not having an experiential home that is not separate from, but not the same as our preferences.
Right. Right.
If we're completely identified with our display, then of course we're going to get very upset. We're on the roller coaster and happy when it goes up, sad when it goes down.
Sure.
But it's possible to both be on the roller coaster and off the roller coaster simultaneously. But it takes some effort, some work over time usually.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's good. How much do I owe you for this session?
Nothing.
Just invoice me.
I could say be kind to your husband as another guy next time that he messes up.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. We all need that kindness. We all do. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Bruce, this has just been amazing getting to visit with you. I feel like
I've
this one.
enjoyed visiting with you because
Yeah.
it's, there's some overlap and some differences, which is great.
Yeah. It makes for a rich dialogue.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, how I usually close the podcast, and you might rebel against this, and if so, that'll be even more interesting. I normally ask my guests to tell me a book, and of course, we know your book is amazing, a book you highly recommend, or maybe what you're currently reading, a value that you live by, and a daily practice. And I cannot wait to hear your response.
Well, no, I'm not going to rebel because I don't have to do anything about those things. Luckily, I don't have to gratify you, so so I don't have to rebel against it.
I love it. There's nothing to rebel against.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just a request.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, MaryAnn she'd like that. I'm not interested in that. No problem.
Oh my goodness. It's the most peaceful letdown. It's just like, now what I did last time though is I pushed. So what if I said no, really? Like there's gotta be a book that's really impacted you, or maybe it surprised you.
I'd say, well, what is your fantasy of a book that's important to me? Because apparently you're enjoying your projections at the moment, so you might as well go full hog.
Oh my goodness. We would just keep going. Or maybe it's this. Maybe it's this.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an upward spiral.
Right.
I like it. Well, this has been so fun and really rewarding, and just appreciate your time
Sure.
so much. I know
Thank you for
sharing your
inviting
time
me.
is a real gift. So
Great. And it
thank
sounds
you.
like you're doing genuinely helpful work. So I always appreciate when people are in touch enough with the difficulty of being a human that they end up trying to be a benefit to others rather than just get as much money as possible or whatever other people do. So
Yeah.
thank you for the work you're doing.
That's very touching. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your work. It's just, it's profound, and the world appreciates you. I appreciate you. And thank you everybody for joining us with the incredible Bruce Tift on Inner Work Podcast. Please like and share our content so more people can know Bruce and know about his work and his book Already Free. And we'll see you next time. Thanks everybody.